A warm greeting. Today is Wednesday, June 10, 2026. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia speaking. At the time of recording this video, it is 3:30 p.m. local time in El Salvador and Guatemala, where we continue monitoring what is now Tropical Depression Cristina, as the tropical cyclone has been weakening throughout the day today. It currently has maximum sustained winds of 55 kilometers per hour. These are definitely good news for Guatemala and El Salvador, as the National Hurricane Center now projects that it will make landfall as a tropical depression. However, there remains a high potential for flooding during the next 24 to 36 hours. Looking at the visible satellite animation, we can see that Tropical Depression Cristina is associated with a broader circulation that extends across essentially all of Central America, and is producing a moisture flow over portions of the Yucatan Peninsula, including Belize, Quintana Roo, Campeche, and Yucatan. This afternoon, some locally heavy showers have developed, while in the case of El Salvador, southern Honduras, and Guatemala, rainfall so far has not been as intense as previously projected. Even so, we cannot rule out the development of new bands that could bring heavy rainfall and additional flooding. If we switch to the infrared satellite animation, you can see the limited convection and rainfall accompanying the circulation of Tropical Depression Cristina. This afternoon, the heaviest rainfall has been reported across parts of southwestern Guatemala, southern Chiapas, and much of the Yucatan Peninsula, including portions of northern Guatemala, Belize, and the states of Campeche, Quintana Roo, and Yucatan. In fact, part of the energy associated with this broad circulation will be moving toward portions of the southern Gulf, and some models project that a low-pressure area could develop in this region. The area continues to be monitored by the National Hurricane Center due to a low probability of tropical cyclone development during the next 7 days. This is why the National Hurricane Center continues to highlight the southern Gulf region with a 10% chance of development. Returning to Tropical Depression Cristina, intensity models generally agree that it will remain weak during the next 24 hours and will most likely move into El Salvador as a tropical depression during the early morning hours of Thursday. Since this system is not a tropical storm, the tropical storm warning that had been in effect for El Salvador, as well as portions of Honduras and Nicaragua, has been discontinued. For now, a tropical storm watch remains in effect for El Salvador due to a scenario that we cannot completely rule out, in which Tropical Depression Cristina could strengthen slightly just before moving into El Salvador. However, this is the least likely scenario. But notice that some models project that it could re-intensify into a weak tropical storm. The reality is that whether it reaches El Salvador as a tropical depression or a weak tropical storm, this does not change the impacts expected in the region during the next 24 to 36 hours very much. What truly concerns us at the moment is the additional rainfall accumulation. For example, the American model projects that during the next 24 hours, between 125 and 200 millimeters could still accumulate across portions of western and central El Salvador. Of course, this will depend on whether the tropical depression is able to develop new areas of convection and rainfall. However, if it remains disorganized, as it is at the moment, rainfall could be much lower than what the American model projects. In addition, notice that portions of Quintana Roo are expected to receive additional rainfall totals of up to 100 millimeters. Meanwhile, the European model presents a scenario with less rainfall for El Salvador during the next 24 hours. In this case, it projects accumulations of around 75 millimeters, much lower than what the American model forecasts. And this is if Tropical Depression Cristina is unable to reorganize just before moving inland. Looking farther ahead, we will begin monitoring the Bay of Campeche and the southern Gulf region for the possible development of a low-pressure area. At the moment, the American ensemble members do not develop a tropical depression. This low-pressure area would be approaching Tamaulipas or Texas between Sunday and Monday of next week. Meanwhile, the European ensemble members generally do show a low-pressure area developing east of Tamaulipas. However, the vast majority do not strengthen it into a tropical depression before it moves into Mexico. Likewise, among the Google Artificial Intelligence Model ensemble members, only a few show any type of organization. However, the vast majority do not even develop a tropical depression. This is why the National Hurricane Center continues to keep development probabilities low in the Gulf, mainly because conditions are not expected to be very favorable for development. Even so, here at Hurricane Info I will continue to closely monitor the evolution of Tropical Depression Cristina and that low-pressure area expected to form during the weekend near the Bay of Campeche. Meanwhile, I encourage residents of El Salvador and southern Guatemala to continue paying close attention to weather updates in case new bands of heavy rainfall develop. It is very likely that, if there are no significant changes in the forecasts, I will record the next video tomorrow afternoon. So, to make sure you do not miss this content and to stay informed throughout the rest of the hurricane season, I invite you to like this video. Also, Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so you can receive alerts whenever I record new videos. I hope everyone has an excellent evening. See you tomorrow.